You are slowly making yourself dumber every single day. No accident, no mystery. Just daily habits wrecking your brain in the background. The scary part is that these habits feel completely normal. You probably did at least 3 of them before you started watching this video. And if you keep doing them, your brain will continue to decline without you even noticing. So let's talk about the 5 daily habits that are silently lowering your IQ. The first habit is skipping breakfast or eating sugar first thing in the morning. This one sounds simple, but the damage it does to your brain is real. When you wake up, your brain has been fasting for hours. It needs fuel to function. If you skip breakfast entirely, your brain runs empty. Your glucose levels drop, your focus gets weaker, your memory struggles. Decision-making becomes harder. But here is where it gets worse. If you do eat breakfast, but you reach for something loaded with sugar like a pastry or sugary cereal or a sweetened coffee drink, you create a different problem. Your blood sugar spikes fast. Your brain gets a quick burst of energy, then it crashes hard. That crash leaves you foggy and slow. Your ability to concentrate disappears. You feel tired even though you just ate. This is not just about one bad morning. When you do this every single day, your brain starts to adapt to these crashes. Your insulin response changes. Your brain becomes less efficient at using glucose. Over time, this pattern damages your cognitive function. Studies show that people who eat high-sugar breakfasts or skip breakfasts entirely perform worse on memory tests and problem-solving tasks. Their brains age faster. The neurons that help you learn and think clearly start to weaken. And because this happens slowly, you never connect the dots. You just feel a little less sharp than you used to be. You blame it on stress or getting older. But the real cause is sitting right there in your morning routine. And this habit is just the beginning. The next one is even more common, and it happens without you realizing how much harm it is doing. The second habit is constant multitasking. You probably think you are good at multitasking. Most people do. You answer emails while listening to a podcast, you scroll through your phone while watching a show, you switch between work tasks every few minutes. It feels productive. It feels like you are getting more done. But your brain is not built to handle multiple streams of information at once. What you are actually doing is called task switching. Your brain rapidly shifts focus from one thing to another. And every time it switches, it uses energy. It creates mental friction. It forces your prefrontal cortex to work harder than it should. Here is what happens over time. Your brain starts to lose its ability to focus deeply on anything. Your attention span shrinks. You become addicted to the stimulation of switching tasks. Sitting with one thought for more than a few minutes feels uncomfortable. Your working memory gets weaker because you are constantly interrupting it. Information does not stick. You read something and forget it 5 minutes later. You have conversations and lose track of what was said. Your ability to think critically declines because critical thinking requires sustained focus. And you cannot sustain focus if your brain has been trained to jump around every few seconds. Research shows that people who multitask frequently have lower cognitive control. They are worse at filtering out irrelevant information. Their brains become less efficient at processing anything meaningful. The damage is not instant. It builds day by day. And the worst part is that multitasking makes you feel busy and accomplished, so you never stop to question whether it is hurting you. But it is. And once your brain adapts to this habit, breaking it becomes incredibly hard. There is another habit that does something similar, but it happens even when you think you are relaxing. The third habit is passive scrolling on social media. You pick up your phone without thinking. You open an app, you scroll. You see a video, a meme, a post, another video. You do not decide to watch any of it. It just happens. Your thumb keeps moving, your brain keeps consuming. And this goes on for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes an hour. It feels harmless. It feels like a break. But your brain is not resting. It is being flooded with information. Every scroll delivers a tiny hit of novelty. Your dopamine system lights up. Your brain starts craving more. So you keep scrolling. Here is the problem. This type of consumption is completely passive. You are not thinking. You are not analyzing. You are not forming connections between ideas. Your brain is just receiving input and moving on. No retention. No deeper processing. And when you do this every single day, your brain starts to rewire itself. It becomes optimized for quick, shallow engagement. It loses the ability to engage deeply with anything. Your attention span collapses, your patience for complex ideas disappears. Reading a long article feels exhausting, following a detailed argument becomes difficult. Your memory weakens because you are not giving your brain time to encode anything. Information flows in and flows out without leaving a mark. Studies show that heavy social media users have reduced gray matter in areas of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. Their cognitive performance declines, they become worse at focusing, worse at remembering, and worse at thinking through problems. And because this happens gradually, they don't notice. They just feel more distracted than they used to be. They assume everyone feels this way. But not everyone does. Only the people who have trained their brains to expect constant stimulation. And this habit pairs dangerously with the next one, which millions of people do every single night. The fourth habit is sleeping less than 7 hours a night. You stay up late finishing work, watching shows, scrolling, or just lying in bed unable to fall asleep. You wake up tired, you push through the day with caffeine, you tell yourself you will catch up on sleep later. But you never do. And your brain is paying the price. Sleep is when your brain cleans itself. During deep sleep, your brain flushes out toxins that build up during the day. It consolidates memories, it processes information. It strengthens the connections between neurons. Without enough sleep, none of this happens properly. When you sleep less than 7 hours consistently, your brain starts to break down. Your hippocampus, which is responsible for memory, becomes less effective. Your prefrontal cortex, which controls decision-making and self-control, weakens. Your ability to learn new things declines. Your reaction time slows, your emotional regulation falls apart. You become more impulsive, more irritable, and less able to think clearly. And here is the worst part. The damage is cumulative. One bad night will not ruin you, but months or years of poor sleep will permanently change your brain structure. Studies show that chronic sleep deprivation is linked to lower IQ scores, reduced cognitive flexibility, and even early-onset dementia. You might think you have adapted to less sleep. You might believe you function fine on 5 or 6 hours. But research shows that is not true. Your performance is impaired. You just do not realize it because your self-awareness is also impaired. You have forgotten what it feels like to think clearly. And every night you shortchange your sleep, you are making yourself a little less intelligent. You are robbing your brain of the recovery it needs. And if you combine poor sleep with the final habit on this list, the impact on your brain becomes even more severe. The fifth habit is living in a state of constant stress without recovery. You wake up stressed about work. You check your phone and feel more stress. You rush through your day. You worry about deadlines, money, relationships, or things you cannot control. Your mind never stops racing. Your body stays tense, and you never give yourself real time to recover. Maybe you think you are relaxing when you watch TV or scroll your phone, but your nervous system is still activated. Your cortisol levels stay elevated. And this has a direct impact on your brain. Chronic stress shrinks your hippocampus. It damages the neurons in your prefrontal cortex. It reduces your ability to form new memories and weakens your ability to regulate emotions. High cortisol levels interfere with neurotransmitter function. Your brain becomes less plastic, meaning it loses its ability to adapt and learn. Your cognitive flexibility disappears. You get stuck in rigid thinking patterns. You become reactive instead of thoughtful. And because stress also disrupts your sleep, your ability to recover from the damage becomes even weaker. The problem is that stress has become so normal that most people don't recognize it anymore. They think feeling anxious and overwhelmed is just part of life. They don't realize their brain is slowly deteriorating under the weight of it. And the longer this goes on, the harder it becomes to reverse. Your brain gets trapped in a stress loop. It becomes harder to calm down. It becomes harder to think clearly. And your intelligence, your sharpness, your ability to process the world around you quietly fades. So here is what all of this means. These 5 habits are not dramatic. They don't feel dangerous. But they are working together to lower your cognitive function day by day. Skipping breakfast or eating sugar crashes your brain before the day even starts. Multitasking trains your brain to be scattered and weak. Passive scrolling destroys your attention span and memory. Poor sleep prevents your brain from recovering and cleaning itself. And chronic stress without recovery shrinks the parts of your brain that make you sharp, creative, and capable of deep thought. The damage is quiet. It is slow, but it is real. And the longer you ignore it, the harder it becomes to undo. If you want to protect your brain, you need to look honestly at your daily routine. You need to ask yourself which of these habits you are doing without thinking. And you need to decide whether feeling normal is worth becoming less intelligent over time. Because your brain is not fixed. It changes based on what you do every single day. And right now, you get to choose what direction that change goes.